Wholesale weekly update. This is number 11. We are 77 days into this journey of starting TU and starting this wholesale business. This thing is hard, man. I mean, it's easy in theory, but it's really hard in application. So you got to develop these skills. You got to understand how to comp and understand and review these numbers of these properties in the area and the market. You also have to be able to understand how to navigate these conversations. It is a sales game, 100%, but it's also, it's a numbers game. I'm realizing that. It feels like it's luck. It feels like you get the lead at the right time, but it's also just a volume thing. So at this point in time, I've sent off 4 contracts in these 77 days. I've had 1 termination, and I've been ghosted by 2 of the other ones, and I have 1 under contract. I probably should have more numbers than that, and I would say that I'm really about 5 or 6 weeks into this process and not necessarily 11, because I took a little bit of time of really just kind of honing in the skills before I turned on the lead flow. So with that 1 contract that I do have this week, I did talk to Danny Herman with Titanium Investments, who is the one that has the JV agreement for this. And basically, he gave me an overview of where we're at. He said my numbers are right. There's a big time buyer in Maine that reviewed this deal and says, yeah, this is a killer deal all day long. Numbers pencil out, cash on cash return is great. It's on paper, it's beautiful. He says he's not buying it because he's only buying 10 doors at a time. So he's a bigger multifamily investor at this point and not doing the smaller duplex or single family. Other investors are saying that this area in New Hampshire, it's Berlin, is, it's drug infested. It's a miner's town. It's just not a very popular area. So Danny is kind of saying your numbers are right, but the pool for buyers in this are just not as hot as they are in other markets. If it was like across the river over there, then it would probably be a better deal and we'd probably have more traction. He says he's still working on it. It's just going to be a little bit slower based off the area. And so he's going to guide me through that conversation with the seller, because the seller is getting a little bit concerned at this point, and I don't know how to navigate that conversation. So next week, he's going to give me an overview on how to navigate it, maybe the transparent idea of assigning the contract, or potentially the idea of doing a renegotiation if that's going to be necessary. He just wants to get somebody in there so we can get that feedback so we can get it back to the seller. I don't know how I feel towards that deal. That's an uncomfortable conversation that I feel like I'm having within myself, but it's a mindset thing, and it's something that's going to happen when you're doing this at scale and at volume. So I'm looking forward to learning that process and implementing that within the seller if need be, so I can have that skill for the next time it happens. I did have a one-on-one with Tall Guy Seth this week. That was informative. I shared my screen. I showed my CRM. I said, this is how, from a lead entering my CRM, the process and flow that it goes through. Here are the drips. This is how many times I'm contacting people, the way that I'm contacting people, and just try to get as much overview from that as possible to make sure that I'm doing things on the right track. I was also asking about kind of leads. Where should I be gaining my leads from? Where should I be pushing? He mentioned that I had a lot of things from all over the country, which is the nationwide aspect. He thinks that, when you're starting out, that's beneficial so you can get the reps in for cheaper. He thinks that my skills are probably a little bit more decent at this point in time, so I might be able to target a little bit more. He kind of said that I should potentially pause on the property leads for a little bit and pull a little bit of lead Zolo leads so I can go to specific counties. He said to go ahead and start iSpeed to lead so I could be sniper approach on specific property or specific areas and reasonings for selling. And he said to also go ahead and drip some fizzy leads in there just so I can put those on long-term follow-ups or drip campaigns, and that those could trickle in as time goes by. So I kind of took up what he said and went ahead and purchased a year's worth of iSpeed to lead coupon club. I think since I'm a member of TU, or since I was talking to an iSpeed rep, they also gave me a little bit of a bonus balance that comes in every single month. So I went ahead and on Friday, I locked that up. I purchased my first lead from iSpeed to lead with the coupon club, and guess what? It was complete dead. It was someone that already sold. It looked like it was a good situation, good property. Called the seller up. She said, nope, already sold it. The thing that sucks about that is you can't refund bonus balance purchases with iSpeed to lead. So it was just complete dead in the water from the first seller lead that I bought. Volume game, I get it, I understand, but that was just a little disheartening. Property leads, I also changed that from nationwide to statewide on Friday. I had 3 come in. You feel a little bit different when you're spending $75 a lead as opposed to $30 a lead. But I mean, the game's still the same. The conversations are still the same. I had 3 of those come in. One was just like automatic refund. Dude's not selling. Literally just fishing for price. The other 2 have not gotten a hold of yet. But I didn't get as many leads as I would normally get if I was on nationwide when I had the statewide Georgia lead turned on. So I have iSpeed lead turned on now. I can get some leads from there. I'm going to probably go ahead next week and access Fizzy leads and get some of those stripped into my CRM. I'm tickling the idea of PPC. Mixed feelings towards that one. Seth basically told me that these PPL providers like Property Leads, iSpeed Lead, Zolo, they're all, generating PPC leads. The benefit with doing it through them is that you're also going to be able to refund it if something goes wrong. If you do PPC, you could completely just burn money. Seth gave me an idea of that. He said he had some really good success, which was like beautiful success with PPC. He's also had some like drastic failures with PPC that, you're like, what's going on? What's different? And, he also gave me an idea of the market. Nick has gone over this inside of TU as well, one of the leaders, and said like, we're in a time of scarcity, a time of uncertainty. And in those times we start to panic. And so the economy will start to fall a little bit. And so Seth is basically kind of saying the same thing, that we're in a time where if you can make deals happen now, when things get easier, it's going to be amazing. So I'd much rather be in this situation where nothing is really happening and surviving the storm and learning the skills and the systems and the processes now. And then whenever things get a little bit better, I'll be able just to skyrocket up. So, I mean, good week this week still trying to make as many calls as I possibly can. 77 days in, I want to start seeing some traction hit a little bit more, but I'm going to give myself, this was the first 90 days of learning. The next 90 days are of application. The next 90 days after that is really like, I think that things should start hitting the water. So remember, I mean, I'm in this journey. I'm not quitting. The ships are sank. This is what's going to happen, and I'm going to do this until I make it. So remember, stay happy, hungry, and humble. We're going to crush it next week, and I'll see you next time.